Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Here with John. Want to introduce what we're going to be doing on kind of a weekly, bi-weekly kind of video here. So today we're going to learn more about John and his background, but going forward, you're going to talk about the company, of course, partners, people involved, meet other team members, and we want this to be pretty interactive. Please, if you've got questions, drop them below. Things you want to see in future videos, please put them below as well. We want to make sure we cover them. But John, first things first, how are you?
Thank you, Jason. I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. I know we're both kind of surviving the heat wave of 40 degrees Celsius and pushing through, but things are good. I know Ontario is supposed to be opening up here any day now, but let's dive into it. So usually like to kick off with like very early career, first couple jobs, big successes, and we'll kind of walk through. Tell me where you want to start.
Sure. Well, we can go back as long as you want. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, dating back to my days at Western University when I put myself through college as a college pro painter manager in the great town of Peterborough, Ontario. And then I went, I went actually to a big corporate job called at Northern Telecom when Northern Telecom was a great company in the late 80s. And I moved from Toronto down to Atlanta, Georgia with that company. And I was there only for about a year and a half, and they wanted to move me to Dallas, Texas. And I thought, I don't know if I want this to be my life where this big company tells me where to live. So I went on my own. It was 1989, and the cellular phone business was just becoming active. So I built a cellular phone business in Atlanta, Georgia. And we sold it in the mid 90s, and I moved my family to Canada, where I grew up. I miss Toronto. I miss Canadians. Even though my wife is American, both my daughters were born in the US. And I went to work for Yorkton Securities. Yorkton Securities was a Vancouver-based mining company, but it was migrating to a technology and media boutique. And that's where my expertise was, in technology and media. And so I became head of investment banking at Yorkton Securities, and we had a great run. We did all kinds of ventures. I started a company called Ecom Park in 1997. That's when the web was just getting developed. And we created a web development shop with an internet incubator. And we took that company public from just a few $1 million market cap to a $700 million market cap in 18 months. And it was a fun venture. And then I went on to be vice chairman and head of investment banking for Mackey Research. And then I went to be managing director of investment banking for Industrial Alliance. And I enjoyed all of those stints. So,
Here, let's unpack one quickly. You start your own cell phone business. I mean, walk me through that a little bit more. Hey, in the
yeah.
late 80s or early 90s is pretty
you,
early for cell phones. So
you
give me
weren't
all the
around.
details.
You weren't around. And I suspect most of your listeners weren't around for the early days of cellular. It's when you had a car phone. We had a group of towers, we had a billing system, and we had installation centers, and you would install phones into cars, or you would buy a bag phone. It was literally like a suitcase that you'd have a strap around and carry it around. And then in the early 90s, some of the handheld models came out, but this was very, very early days. And I remember AT&T published a report that they weren't going to get in the cellular phone business because they thought the US market was about 1 million to 1.5 million customers. And even though AT&T had all the patents for AT&T was the creator of the cell network, they walked away from the business because they didn't think it was a big enough business opportunity. Imagine that.
Gives you kind of throwbacks to IBM saying that they don't think there's going to be many personal computers. It kind of makes you think the same story. So crazy. So
Yeah.
walk me through a little bit more on kind of, I guess, the exit, I guess, if you can, or where, how big did it get?
We had 28,000 subscribers, and which isn't a lot, but it's in today's numbers. But we sold it to a company called Nationwide, and it was far too early to exit. Everything's obvious in hindsight, Jason. But it doesn't really matter because it was a great run. I was very young. I was 27 years old when we started it. Actually, sorry, I was younger than that. 25 years old when I started it. And so I was 34 when I moved up here to Canada to go with Yorkton Securities. And so even though that was too early of an exit, it gave me the opportunity to be at a critical place at a critical time. 1995, 96, 97, Netscape IPO set off the gold rush of the internet, if you will.
Yeah.
And to be in investment banking, in a boutique, an aggressive boutique, was the right place at the right time.
Yeah, no, it sounds incredible. What maybe do you have any stories, cool things you saw, things that you were a part of, things that you helped build? I mean, obviously being in investment banking, I'm sure you can see some stuff, probably have a few battle stories you could share.
Yeah, we probably have too many, quite frankly, to cover. But yeah, I mean, the internet age. I mean, you have to understand that how we take things for granted right now. We take things like booking an airline ticket online for granted. Before the internet, you would call the airline and you would wait on hold. And after 20 minutes, somebody would come on and you would have to explain that you're trying to fly from Toronto to Vancouver. And they give you the alternatives over the phone of the different flights that are going to happen. And then your ticket ends up coming to you in the mail. To explain that to a person today is just foreign. Or you could go to a travel agent and sit in front of a travel agent while they give you recommendations about flight times and that type of thing. So I'm telling you that story because at the time of the internet, nobody knew what it would become. Nobody knew how big this platform and how vital it would become to all of our lives. And whether it's booking an airline ticket or watching a television show or listening to music, it's obviously permeated into everything we do. And that was a fun time in 95, 96, 97 to be an investment banker, specifically in the technology sector, because there were so many ideas coming to you and so many people had a version of what they thought the world would look like and how things would transpire. Everything from the yellow pages. You probably don't know that the phone companies used to produce a book this thick, where you would look for a plumber. You open the book. And so, I financed a company called Z Connects that was putting all of that information onto an online portal, and people would go to an online portal and look for a plumber online. And this was going to be the greatest idea. But it never stopped. The idea flow never stopped. And the interesting part about it was trying to figure out what would work ultimately and what would fail, and hopefully you'd be right more than wrong. And pioneering days. It was pioneering days.